sorry for interrupting. We're now reconvening after executive session. Do I have a request for action for executive session?
I make a motion to approve the personnel alignment as presented in executive session.
Second.
Will, second, Ms. Biggs. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Moving right along to the superintendent's report. Dr. Thomas.
Okay, yes, we have been discussing the reentry plan for the 2020-21 school year. And so we talked about different options and components. We have two different options that we are discussing, and there are three different components to option one. So we're looking at having an e-learning option where teachers will report to school and they will teach lessons which will be live streamed and recorded. Students will be able to interact with the teacher. Students will watch the instruction daily as well. Students who are unable to watch the instruction live will be able to watch the recorded lessons as well. And so that would be a regular daily schedule. Also talked about option one, component two, a hybrid face-to-face option where the students would be divided into two groups. And they would attend in-person part of the week, and the remainder of the week would be with some e-learning online options. So half of the students district-wide would attend on Monday and Tuesday, the other half on Thursday and Friday, and then we will make sure that siblings will be able to attend on the same day. Wednesdays will be used for deep cleaning, social emotional learning, interventions, tutoring, counseling, check-ins. So the hybrid would offer the face-to-face, the blend of face-to-face and online learning, with being able to allow the options to follow the guidelines for social distancing. And then component three of option one would be the traditional face-to-face, which of course is what we are all hoping to be able to get back to, because we know that students definitely learn best in most cases in a face-to-face setting. So this would be the option that would definitely be recommended for the health conditions, guidelines, and facility considerations would allow for students and staff to return to the school building. It will be selected, hopefully it is safe and possible to do so based on the guidelines, recommended guidelines that are available. Students with this traditional, it will be what we're all used to, again, so it will be the traditional face-to-face, regular schedule, 5 days a week. And then our option two would be based on the information and the feedback that we've received in regards to the students and parents who may not feel comfortable returning to school at this point in time. There will be a virtual academy option. And this would allow those parents who do not feel comfortable sending their children back to school to have the option to enroll and register in our Lawrence County Virtual Academy. This could be students with underlying health issues or students who may have parents or caregivers who may have underlying health issues as well. The students would still be assigned to their home school. They would have virtual instruction each day, and the students would have a regular daily schedule that they would follow with that virtual live instruction with the teacher, as well as being able to interact with the teacher as well. Again, these lessons would also be recorded just in case there's a concern or issue where the student is not able to watch the actual live session. The plan is for us to utilize the existing staff that we currently have. And this option would also possibly be a partnership between Lawrence 55 and Lawrence 56, pending the approval of both school boards. And so we would definitely start the registration process as soon as we would have approval, so that we could get some accurate numbers to be able to determine how many students would be actually attending the virtual academy option. We also just discussed as far as the recommendations from the current data with DHEC. And currently Lawrence County, our metrics state that we are rated as high in all categories across the board, which had a bearing on our decision as far as summer school, because the recommendation was not to have any face-to-face sessions at this time based on our current status. So also when we're looking at kind of our guidelines and protocols, we would have our teachers to wear masks or face shields. Those would be provided. Some of those are purchased by the state, but we can also include some additional as well. We would make a recommendation for students. It would be strongly recommended, but not a mandate for the students to wear the mask as well. They will be available in the schools and on the school bus. Hand sanitizer would be available in every entrance and in every classroom. We would encourage frequent hand washing. We would make sure that our cleaning and our sanitizing would be increased. And all students, all of our students in grades K through 12 would be assigned a device. And we would definitely have to look at, we have done measurements of each of the classrooms, so it really would depend on the specific classroom. But in order to meet the recommendations for the social distancing guidelines, in most of our classes, we could get 10 students, maybe in some 15, but it depends on the measurements of our classrooms, which we have, and we're looking at to determine the exact number of students. As far as our cleaning protocols, we do have some electrostatic sprayers. Some of those have been provided by the state for our buses. We have also purchased some as well. So those will be used on the school bus and in the classrooms daily for the cleaning. Training will be provided for our custodial staff and our contracted services on effective cleaning methods as recommended by TDEC. And also cleaning of those frequently touched areas as well. We'll have training provided to our bus drivers, to our custodians, to all those involved, again, to make sure that, that they definitely understand the proper procedures for that. As far as the PPE, personal protective equipment, plexiglass dividers have been installed in our front offices, in our schools, and as well as the district office. They've also been purchased for our school psychologists for testing purposes and for meeting with students. Face shields have been purchased for teachers. Masks have been purchased to have available for students, but they've also been purchased to have available for staff. Nurses will have daily scrubs, so we're able to have that service where they will not have to take their scrubs home with them, but they would just leave their shoes and their scrubs at school, and we would kind of send those for cleaning service so that they would not have to worry about that contact and contamination by taking those items home. We've also purchased some thermometers that will also be provided in our schools as well. Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Would you rather they wait to the end or ask them when you're talking about that?
I can definitely, if you would like to ask them that.
On the face shields and masks that have been purchased for students and staff, are those reusable and not throwaways?
The shields are reusable, and we have different type of masks. So we have some masks that are the reusable ones, and we do have some that are disposable. So some of those were ordered at the state level, and then we ordered some differently. So we have kind of a mixture of different masks. Okay, as far as professional development and training, teachers will be provided intensive training on how to effectively provide and implement virtual instruction. We've definitely taken feedback that we've received from some of the feedback and surveys as it relates to when we moved to that very quickly in the spring. And so we've been able to modify and adjust and to enhance what we're expecting from teachers virtually as well. We are providing some training during our Summer Institute to help teachers prepare, and our Summer Institute will take place later this month to help provide some training on that effective virtual instruction for teachers. Also, some training for bus drivers, nurses, food service, custodians, and principals are also in the works to make sure that we're all following the proper protocols and guidelines as well. So we have all of that in the works, and that's going to take place as well. As far as special education, we do have, we're doing some virtual IEPs. We're also looking at certain days during the week that we could provide some specific services to our students. We're looking at numbers in some of our self-contained classes, our special education classes, to see if they would be able to attend 4 to 5 days a week. And so we're also working to schedule services to where they can get OT or PT, even if it may be outside of the regular school day, whatever is necessary in order to be able to provide those services. We've also discussed kind of the state bus recommendations. And so definitely looking at kind of half number of students based on the normal capacity of the school bus. In some cases, that could possibly mean that we would have to do multiple routes in order to get students to school and follow these guidelines that have been recommended for us. We are recommending to have 1 student per seat, unless they're siblings or from the same household, then they would definitely occupy the same seats on the bus. We have the electrostatic sprayers for the bus that they will be using each day to clean the buses, and then there will also be wipe downs throughout the day as well between the seats, between usage. So those are basically where we're looking at as far as the different options for the learning models for 2020-2021 school year reentry. Are there any questions or comments at this time?
I have a question about the virtual academy. So it specifically states that it would be in conjunction with District 56. What if District 56 votes no? Can we still offer the service just as District 56?
Yes, ma'am. We are prepared to move forward even if we don't have to do it with that partnership.
So as of this moment, we haven't decided exactly how we want to go.
Mine, and I'm not sure as far as my recommendation, is that what would it be?
Yes, let me hear your recommendation.
Okay. So my recommendation would be for us to, if you all would approve the virtual academy. And so that will give us an opportunity to be able to start that registration process, to get specific students, to get their names, to get them registered into the virtual academy option. Once we know the students that we have in the virtual academy, we'll have more accurate numbers to be able to determine the best route to take. So if we could start as soon as possible with opening that registration, and we'll get that, all those students enrolled in the virtual academy, then we'll be able to look at numbers to be able to determine whether or not we would need to start with a hybrid option, or whether or not we could do a traditional 5-day a week based on the numbers that we have that will be attending face-to-face.
Just based on some of our questions from earlier in the work session, and just, as a parent, I'm sure you could come up with many. Maybe when we offer, if you are asking students to sign up for the virtual academy, maybe have like a 10, FAQs so they can see, just because there's going to be certain questions that everyone's going to ask, and so go ahead and share that, while you're saying, hey, would you like to sign up for this? Just to try to cover some extra ground in one step.
Absolutely. We will have some information that kind of details, what exactly is the Lawrence County Virtual Academy.
How long would they be required to remain in virtual academy?
There would be a required commitment of at least 1 semester. Once they sign up and enroll, we would ask for a commitment of 1 semester in the virtual academy.
if a student decided after, first semester to come back, we're on a hybrid schedule, and there's not seats available, what would that in that situation?
If the not seats available in the hybrid or face-to-face.
Correct. If we were in a hybrid schedule.
I would think that we would be able to make arrangements, since we would, in a hybrid schedule, we would have half of our students attending. So I think we would probably be able to, most likely be able to accommodate the need of putting them back into the face-to-face or hybrid model.
So if we're going to move forward with passing the option to allow you to gain numbers for the virtual academy, how long are you gonna take to get those numbers so that then we're able to look at what the rest of the students will be able to do so that we can provide that to the community to say, we've got X number of students that have enrolled in the virtual academy, because we'll have to then come back and convene to decide what the rest of the students are gonna do, and get that out to the community as well, to give them the option of what they're gonna have to choose from. So how long are you gonna give people to sign up?
Well, I definitely think that we would have to kind of reconvene and make that decision no later than July 28th. So we would have that window of time that we would be able to allow students to sign up for the virtual academy.
Yeah, do you not think that it should be a more condensed period of time for them to sign up? Because, I mean, I really think that we need to give parents more time, I mean, to figure out after that. I mean, am I just talking?
Well, I think parents that would be interested in the virtual academy would probably sign up very quickly, because those are going to be your parents that on the survey says, I'm not thoughtful sending my kids back to school. So I would imagine that they would sign up fairly quickly. But I do think that a deadline should be put on it, and then still allow you a few days to kind of circle back and say, okay, well, we didn't get very many sign up. Let's circle back and maybe look at some student groups that really didn't engage during e-learning in the spring and reach out to people individually.
I think stretching it out to the
I agree.
28th.
I just think the 28th would be the time that we would have to have something else. I mean, we could definitely have the deadline for the registration sooner than that. But I think we would have to, as far as our timeline, would definitely need to be able to come back together to offer the other options to the parents.
Because
That's
even
our time.
even with the virtual learning, no matter what option that we go forward with, I mean, like we all talked about in the work session, that, you know, we said we would do it for the first semester and then reevaluate. It's not like we're gonna say, this is what we're doing for the entire school year. And that, you know, like the first semester, this is what the option's gonna be, and then we're gonna reevaluate what the next half of the year is gonna look like for students, you know, based on what's going on with the virus. So, you know, I think that needs to be clarified in the motion and in the vote as well, that, you know, it's not just because it says here for a school year. I don't think we need to specify that we're doing something for a school year. We need to specify that it's gonna be for the first semester.
I would like to ask for the virtual academy, I'm sorry, that would be something that we would be able to continue as an option for our community as needed. So for just the virtual academy component, I feel like it would be something that we could possibly utilize even beyond.
So there's no limit on it as well.
Timeline?
Right, limit as far as capacity.
Well, we would have to look at that and look at the number of students and then making sure that we have the teachers, whether we do it in partnership or not with Orange 56. So we would have to look at staffing and students as well. But of course, we would be able to have probably more students involved in that.
Those teachers that are interested in only doing virtual, if, for whatever reason they're willing to do virtual, are they allowed to have other jobs, or is that a part of, I guess teachers can have as many jobs as they want now, as long as it doesn't interfere with their school day, so I don't think that's kind of touch that level.
And with the virtual school, students will be on a regular schedule every day, just like they are now in schools. That they will be on a regimented schedule, classes depending on the age group and number of minutes that are dictated by state law at this point. And that would still apply to the virtual school in these cases.
I think that may be where you get a lot of questions from parents and, fourth grader, how are they gonna be on virtual school from 7:50 to 2:50? Well, I think a breakdown more instruction time, because we know the whole school day isn't here for instruction time. So those would be great pieces of information to provide for different grade groups, I think. We'll have it, yeah.
Yeah, one of the big differences between virtual and e-learning is e-learning will be recorded and you could watch it in the evening or at any time. Virtual would take place on time. The virtual class would be taught specifically maybe 10, 15, 11:30. But where e-learning, if you missed it when the teacher does it, it will be recorded and you can watch it at a later time, correct?
We'll also have an option for virtual as well. But the intended is that they're watching it live, but we'll also still have the option of having those recorded.
How would you record for attendance?
That's what we're working on as far as, of course, when we're in the live streaming sessions, we'll know the attendance of the students that are there. We are working on a component now to where we can determine which students are accessing the recorded lessons as well. So we will have that, but they will also have assignments and other things that they will be required to do.
So the vote that you're wanting today is basically just to approve the virtual academy model so that you can get a number.
That is something that definitely, the sooner the better that we can start that process. It would be great if we could get an approval on the virtual academy.
Yeah, in order to move forward with the virtual academy, whether one of them involved or not, that would be something that we would need to address as soon as possible.
Well, I would say we still need to have a definitive deadline so that we can get the rest of the students and the community with what the direction is going to be, even if virtual academy doesn't follow through with the numbers that we're thinking might happen. We've got to have a plan.
So the first thing on the table right now would be a motion on whether to proceed forward with the starting of the virtual academy.
Well, I make a motion for the district to move forward and the virtual academy, it's not worded here. But,
It's worded at
It's
the very
worded at the
bottom.
okay.
Keep scrolling.
I make a motion to approve the administration of Lawrence County School District 55 to work in collaboration with Lawrence County School District 56 to develop a Lawrence County Virtual Academy. And if Lawrence County District 56 does not agree to it, that Lawrence County School District 55 will continue. Okay.
Can make the second.
So,
And are we gonna put a deadline date of registration for that?
yes, then we will establish it.
What do you feel like the deadline date to,
Is the deadline date on the part of the motion?
yes?
Okay.
Do you need to have it?
Yeah. What we're talking about now is approximately 2 weeks, 13 days. If we started on July 14th, well, that would be the day after Clemens has their board meeting. And if we ran it through the 27th, which is the last possible day,
I don't think we need to
No,
wait
that would be
until.
13 days.
I mean, Dr. Johnson would start on this as soon as
What I'm saying, we can't go any farther. That's as far as we can.
we know, yeah, we know that.
So any day between 14th and 27th. Thomas, what do you think would be?
No, it doesn't need to be the 14th.
We start today.
Dr. Thomas can start tomorrow if she wants to. We don't
Today.
have to wait for the 14th, right?
We already got out.
Right.
So would the 17th,
What's the Friday or after?
17th,
Okay.
17th.
17th of July. That on the 17th of July, then you'll have the numbers to provide.
One question I got about it, is that a hard cutoff date? Or if a parent comes in on the 29th and says they want to enroll their child in virtual academy, do they still do it? Or is the 17th going to be a hard line? in the
We just
sand?
got to get a number,
Yes, sir.
I mean, so we know how to proceed.
I understand
I think if more students will enroll after, I think that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
that.
But in order for us to give the
That's the kind of
other
word I'm
parents
using on
and
the
community, you know, some direction, we've got to have a cutoff date to, so we know who's interested.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, Dr. Thomas would need to decide how late she could extend their enrollment if in fact they wanted to enroll, you know, up closer to the start of school, so.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Meeks, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands, aye. Ayes have it, thank you. Do we have any other motion pertaining to any of the other options at this time?
I just make a motion that we table the other options until we have numbers coming back from the virtual academy.
Motion made, second. Carter, second. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Ayes have it. All right. Dr. Dunlap.
Good afternoon again. As proposed to you in the discussion that we've had earlier, we had a calendar change that has come about due to the state legislatures passing the LEAP added additional days, the learn, evaluate, analyze, and prepare added days. These days, as discussed earlier, can be used for additional teaching. It can be done for use for assessment, or the days can be used for teacher professional development, collaboration around data, and all those different components of these 5 days can be utilized. They have to be at the beginning of the calendar, so they have to be at the start of the school year. So in lieu of us adding 5 days prior to the initial start date, the recommendation that we've worked with Lawrence 56 is to bump the initial start date or the official start date for students back a week, add the 5 days in beginning on August 17th, to be able to allow us to meet the law that has been set forth of adding these days prior to the school year. You can see in this plan that we have shifted several days around to try to stay within the start date and end date that was already established. So we're not changing graduation dates. We're not changing a lot of people's plans. We're not making people come back from vacation, be able to come to school or work earlier. So we tried to stay within those and just basically took out and moved around a couple of teacher work days and also our parent-teacher conference day and our makeup days to be able to make this calendar fit within those same items. You will also see the addition of 2 state-mandated e-learning days that have to be done in the prior to the 45th day. We put those at the same time that parent-teacher conference would have been, but that is a shutdown of the school system and strictly e-learning practice days that are mandated by the state. Any questions based on the proposed calendar?
I have a question and comment and idea.
Okay.
Well, one, I just want to, now that we're actually in the board meeting, I just want to add that on the leap days that have been added, that I just strongly encourage us to bring in 6th graders and 9th graders multiple times that week. I just think it's important for them to have that, that exposure to new teachers, new buildings, new schedules. The June 10th date, that is a staff work day, it looks like. I'm assuming we had to put that at the very end.
You have to show 10 yellow days.
Okay,
And so that is solid yellow on the 10th, only if you do not use the work day the 7th, 8th, or 9th. So if we had makeup days, or if we had 0 makeup days, we would utilize the 7th as the last work day.
okay, that's what I was getting.
So it's
That's
just
where
kind
I
of
was
bumping
going.
that day
Okay.
down. If
Because I was like,
we
I'm
had
gonna go
to,
back on the 10th, and
because
okay.
state law mandates us to show 3 makeup days in our calendar. It makes us show 10 staff, teacher work days, staff development
Okay,
days.
so that day could effectively move to the 7th.
Right.
Okay. And the other, thought that I had was based on your recommendation, that's what District 56 was doing, and that is switching and putting a half day on Friday, April the 2nd,
Yes, ma'am.
versus June 3rd or 4th,
Yes, ma'am.
to give everyone that half day on Good Friday. I don't know what y'all think about that, but I think that would be a good flip.
So if you go forward with this calendar and approve, we just need to amend that prior to y'all approve.
Okay.
Yeah, those 2 half days at the end.
Yeah. Is that something that we can say in the motion, or do you need to actually amend the calendar for us to approve?
You wanted this one motion and then the amendment and then the approval?
I think as long as the board makes the motion, that they approve it with that change
With that change?
being made, and then we can, that's what I think, and then we can, when it's changed, we can send that to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
No testing at all. I was asking that to Dr. Thomas just a minute ago, and that is definitely a concern.
The testing discussion that has happened across the state, our state legislature and our state superintendent, Molly Spearman, have very much recommended that we do away with state testing. However, that has to be approved through these feds and the federal state department or the U.S. Department of Education. So that approval has not been granted yet. We hopefully took that off the calendar just because it was muddying up the kind of the colors.
Yeah, we
So,
are.
On there with money.
So,
I have it on there.
But we only showed state testing for grades 3 through 8. We didn't show state testing for end of course. We didn't show ACT, SAT, state win testing. So we didn't already show all state testing. We just showed the last 20 days for SC pass, SC grade. So it was just kind of one of the discussions whenever we were trying to make this as clean as possible. That was one of the things that we took off, but it would still be a requirement for us to notify parents if that was state testing. Yes,
Normally, they do go with
They
these
do.
calendars. Yes, they do.
and the baseball group and everybody would,
Right, they do
March
look at
Week,
these
they would
calendars.
get with those nights or.
Absolutely.
Do you have an idea when the feds are supposed to approve? Okay, let me ask you a question, going back to April 2nd. Which date, and you might have, okay, the 4th is graduation, so would
The third.
we never do the 3rd instead of the 2nd? And so,
And you also note from the old calendar to the new calendar, we felt that we needed to take away our early release days, the 4 built-in professional half days that we had been using in the past, just not knowing the scheduling and
Right.
what our days would be looking like with possible hybrid. And so we did remove all of the 4 professional development early release days.
and just for the record, so, you know, anyone watching and they don't know what we're looking at, the only added date for teachers would be, at the beginning of the year, would be August 10th.
That is
Right.
correct.
And then that one day at the end of the year if we used our makeup days.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the revised 2020-2021 school year calendar with a change and switching April 2nd and to a half day and turning June 3rd into a full day. Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll have a vote. All in favor, show of hands. Ayes have it, motion carried.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. All right, Ms. Murray.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Thomas, members of the board, here just to present to you some administrative rules related to our current emergency situation with the COVID-19 pandemic. Just as a reminder, policy EBC is an existing emergency policy that authorizes the superintendent to suspend the regular school program in the event of hazardous weather, epidemics, or other emergencies which threaten the safety of our health of students, staff members, or citizens. 3 administrative rules have been recommended by the School Boards Association to be added to that policy. EBCR 1 deals with the issue of remote work, which we have had to deal with for quite some time now. This just codifies the process for authorizing people to do remote work. EBCR 2 is about remote instruction. And EBCR 3 is about virtual board meetings. So these administrative rules just give us the guidelines for authorizing those 3 elements under emergency conditions. Do you have any questions?
These do not require board action.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. All right, moving right along, Mr. Jim.
Good afternoon.
And
I bring before the board a resolution which will require board action for the issuance of the general obligation bond, principal amount not exceeding $5,500,000. The proceeds of this issue will be used for dual purposes. First, it will provide funding for the November 2020 and May 2021 acquisition payments to the Lead Corporation. And additionally, it would also provide our annual capital improvement plan. If approved, we would anticipate a bond sale in late August, which would make the capital funds available for us relatively early in our fiscal year. I believe I emailed out the resolution to each of you. You had an opportunity to review it yet, but this is our normal annual bond issue. And again, this will require board action.
Question? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of a not exceeding $5,500,000 general obligation bond, school district number 55, Lawrence County, South Carolina, for the payment of said bond, and other matters relating thereto, as well as capital projects. Dealers.
Second.
We have a motion, Ms. Gallo, second. Ms. Moore, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll vote. Show of hands, ayes. Ayes have it, motion passed. Thank you, Ms. Long.
Mr. Lawler, was, Mr. Dixon still on the board? Was he,
Yes, he was the chair.
was he the chair?
King Dixon was the chairman of the Lead Corporation. That's
Yes.
correct.
So what will happen?
There are 3, I believe, remaining board members. And those 3, maybe 3, that they will probably have to submit for an additional member for the school.
Okay. I knew he was, I didn't know if he was chair or not.
Yes,
Yeah.
he had always been.
You the chair for one.
No, King Dixon's chair. That's been part of the.
You can hear when you walked into the building and they were meeting, you can hear his voice over everybody else. It's just like
Very one person.
here.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all a lot. This is a real uncertain time, but thank everybody working through them. Our main goal here is to safely educate our children as best we can. Thank you. I'll have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Robbie, are we gonna continue into a work session? Did we talk about that? Or do y'all feel like your questions have been answered right now and?
Until she provides the virtual academy and then go out.
And they talked about another work session 2 months, they, School Board Association.
Well, and I didn't know if Dr. Thomas was planning on going over these surveys, or I didn't know if you had more information, more things for us to discuss with this.
I do not, I have definitely, have those available, and I can definitely kind of go over some of the information that we have.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if it was part of your presentation, I never finished it.
We have a motion for adjournment. Stand a second. All in favor, show of hands. Ayes have it.